The class history is a time when the students recount some fond memories of their years as they progressed through Capay.School. To read that for you, I'll introduce Gregory Williams, Kylie Rush, Carolina Murillo, Amy Gross, Court Johnson, and Christopher Engel.
So to start off our class history, I think it'd be best to do kindergarten. And in kindergarten, we started out with Moses Barajas, Connor Averett, Ashley Boone, Christopher Engel, Amy Gross, Tate Grunwald, Court Johnson, Maury Leveroni, Quentin Parker, Ronnie Wiedemann, and John Zubin. Our teacher, Mrs. Murphy, welcomed us into school and taught us how to listen and be patient. We learned our ABCs and how to count. We read many books and created a chant that went something like this: chicka chicka boom boom, we're in Mrs. Murphy's room. We had fun watching Chico State performances. We made picture books combining our artistic skills and our ability to write. Our class also learned that playtime is okay as long as you clean up. And if you sing while cleaning, time goes by fast. While in Mrs. Murphy's room, we learned important skills and she set us upon the right track. And let's give a round of applause to Mrs. Murphy. In first grade, our teachers were Miss Life, Mrs. Murphy, and a long-term substitute. We had Miss Life in the mornings to teach us ELA, and Mrs. Murphy in the afternoons to teach us math. Unfortunately, Mrs. Life had to leave for the rest of the year, so we got a long-term substitute who was very fun to be around. The students that came into our first grade class were Melissa Espinosa and Gregory Nelson. We learned addition, subtraction, vowels, and consonants, as well as to never start a sentence off with the word but. Also, Rusty taught us that bullying is not okay during his little seminars. Rusty even said that if you bullied someone, that he would come and hang you from the ceiling by your feet and pretend that you were a piñata. When Mrs. Murphy taught us math, she would always get a humongous piece of paper and write with markers on it to teach us a lesson. That's how we learned about the greater and less signs being crocodile mouths with teeth. With Miss Life, she would read us stories like Meet the Robinsons and reward us for good behavior by putting stickers on our card. When we got enough stickers, she would let us choose a prize from the prize box. Also, every Monday, she would make us write about what we did over the weekends, but she would never grade it. And whenever we went on field trips, it was mainly to the Chico Theater to watch musicals. During Halloween, Tate Grunwald's mother, Becky, would always invite us to pick a pumpkin and or go through their pumpkin patch, and she would teach us all about how pumpkins grew. To prepare us for our second grade teacher, Mr. Ballou, we would sometimes go over to his class on rainy days, and he would either read us a story or we would all play Heads Up, 7-Up with the second grade class. All in all, our first grade year was crazy but amazingly rewarding, and I believe that the memories from this time will stick with all the students in that class for years to come.
In second grade, Jared Burson and Kylie Rush joined us in Mr. Blue's second grade class. In second grade, we learned the principles of being very hygienic and learned to be little scientists. He taught us the importance of washing our hands and brushing our teeth. He was a good example of cleanliness. Personal hygiene also includes not wiggling your teeth, which was one of Mr. Blue's pet peeves. Mr. Blue reminded us that the real question is, may I go to the bathroom, and not can I go to the bathroom. The best memory from second grade are the science experiments. One of the most memorable science experiments was the egg and vinegar experiment. He also read a book that taught us how to make thunder cake. Second grade was a great year. There was a lot of memories that we'll never forget. The class of 2014 would like to thank Mr. Ballou for the great year at Capay.School. Thank you.
In Mrs. Taylor's class, Mallory Cummings joined our class. During our year, we experienced many things such as our class Olympics, where we competed in javelin, discus, and assorted running events. In academics, we learned how to multiply and divide. Plus, it was our first year doing the science fair, and we got sweepstakes. We also had 3 second graders that joined us in the morning for math and English. All of us appreciate the time Ms. Taylor spent with us teaching us how to be successful in later years. In 4th grade, Carolina, Mariana, Tanya, and Connor Drake joined our class. Ms. Randalls taught us about multiplying and dividing, and she also taught us about grammar and English as well as life science. Ms. Randalls taught us about rocks and minerals. We even had time when we brought in our own rocks to share with the class. Our favorite memories of 4th grade were going to Shasta Caverns and the Gold Rush Museum. In Shasta Caverns, we explored the amazing caves of stalagmites and stalactites. And during our trip to the Gold Rush Museum, we learned to live like pioneers in the 1800s, building different things such as making candles, corn husk dolls, and even cooking our own lunch from scratch. Also, it was our first year getting letter grades. Thanks to Ms. Randalls, some of us would get honor roll for the very first time.
In 5th grade, Mrs. Davis taught us new rules and the importance of Groundhog's Day. For April Fool's Day, we pranked Mrs. Davis by staying out after the bell rang. She didn't think this was as funny as us, and sent the whole class to the principal's office. Mr. Scribner, though, thought this was funny and didn't punish us, but sent us back to class. One rule that Mrs. Davis thoroughly enforced was that we could not walk on the sacred grass. So a few of us didn't follow this rule and received table washing duty during lunch. Mrs. Davis was the only teacher that celebrated Groundhog's Day. We got to trace our shadows in the chalk on the pavement to represent the groundhog's shadow. Mrs. Davis also made us cookies that were shaped like groundhogs and introduced us to a groundhog puppet. We had a great time in Mrs. Davis's class and enjoyed celebrating Groundhog's Day with her.
In 6th grade, David, Leslie, Daniela, and Layla joined us in Miss Dixon's class. Miss Dixon was an amazing teacher who taught us the importance of fitness and health. She taught us that PE wasn't just time for play, but a time to get fit and still have fun doing it. She prepared us for the incoming 7th and 8th grade sports and all the work it would take to be successful in every sport. Miss Dixon was always looking out for us and our best interests. She always made sure we were having fun and enjoying school. I could definitely say Miss Dixon made our Capay Elementary School the best experience it could be. We all wouldn't be where we are without her amazing teaching and positive attitude. Our favorite field trip was a science fair that we were all required to go to, which was the one and only time we got to leave the school. Maybe the only reason Miss Dixon never took us on field trips was because we were such great students and she wanted to spend every day she could teaching us. 6th grade was also our first year participating in dances. She made our dance experience the best, and she was always excited and ready for the dances. We appreciate her hard work, to make our dances the greatest. Miss Dixon taught us many things that will contribute to our success in our future. We all thank her for her time, hard work, and dedication to our class.
In 7th grade, we had the same class as before, except for Amy Gross, who would return the next year. 7th grade was the first year that we started to play the PE sports. Also, we were big buddies with the 3rd graders, where we played basketball and softball with them. Throughout the school year, Mr. Gonzalez taught us about pre-algebra, life science, and world history. After we finished a chapter in history or science, we would play a game of Jeopardy, and the winning team would receive Jolly Ranchers. At the end of the year, we had our 7th grade field trip to the Sacramento Zoo. Also, Mr. Gonzalez, being a magician, prepared a magic show for the whole class at the end of the year. Thanks to Mr. Gonzalez from the whole class for a magical 7th grade year. The classmates you see here today are the classmates that have been with us all year. 3 students, Quentin, Amy, and Maury, were students who were here before, left, and returned to finish at the greatest school in California. This year, we participated in many artistic activities with our little buddies, which included various reading and art projects. Our little buddies have become our friends as we are theirs, in the classroom as well as the playground. Hopefully, every one of them will remember their big buddies because we know we'll remember them. As for Mr. Conklin this year, the boys and girls won the quadruple crown in sports. That's all 3 tournaments and the track meet. For those of you who don't know how extraordinary this feat is, there has never been a quadruple crown won by both boys and girls in the same year, ever.
All right.
This achievement just goes to show how dedicated Mr. Conklin is to proving himself to Mr. Lovell. Jokes aside, no one has worked harder this year than Mr. Conklin for making sure we are #1 on the field and in the classroom. He was not only a great mentor, a great teacher, and a great friend, but an inspiration to students everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good looking, articulate. We're all very proud of them. The class will is a tradition where the 8th grade students select 1 or 2 of their qualities or characteristics and pass that on to the upcoming 7th grade. To do that, I'll introduce Gregory Nelson, Jared Burrison, Veronica Wiedemann, Tate Grunwald, and Connor Drake.
I, Gregory Nelson, will my recklessness to Evan Boone. I, Connor Everett, will my towering heights to Carter Felton. I, John Zupin, will my ability to grow to Dylan Passanisi. I, Tanya A. Rubio, will my annoying, obnoxious, and loud voice to Ashley George. I, Tate Grunwald, will Ben Brown my ability to make people laugh and my love for the show Doctor Who.
I, Amy Ruth Lacey Gross, will my freckles to Devin Thomas. I, Quentin Parker, will my politeness to Isaac Funderburg. I, Layla L. Cespedes, will my crazy hair to Hannah Gonzalez. I, Hector Valdovinos, will my ability to catch a softball with my nose to Maria Amahari. I, Connor Averitt, will my speed to Tanner Russell.
I, Mallory Cummings, will my sass to Natalie Warner. I, Gregory Williams, will my ability to ask a lot of questions during tests so we can get all the answers from Mr. Conklin to Haley Wiedemann. I, Daniela Partita, will my volleyball skills to Sydney Walker. I, Connor Drake, will my ability to run the 100-meter dash to Marco Rodriguez.
I, Veronica Wiedemann, will my musical talent to Adrian Boone. I, Court Johnson, will my privilege of being the most picked on by Mr. Conklin to Johnny Boat. I, Leslie Cruz, will my good sportsmanship to Sophia Ojeda. I, Christopher Engel, give my football snapping skills to Tiburcio Bello. I, Mariana Murillo, will my ability to procrastinate and my love for Justin Bieber to my sister Alicia Murillo.